So if you're thinking about moving to the Winston-Salem area and you're a suburb type of person, Lewisville and Clemmons have probably both come up on your radar more than one time. They're consistently ranked as one of the best places to live, not only in the Winston-Salem area, but the entire triad in general. They're always ranked really high. And when I relocated here in summer of 2019 with my two kids from the suburbs of Chicago, Lewisville and Clemmons were kind of tops on my list as well. I will say part of that is because, I didn't have a lot of videos and things like we have now for people to look at. I was flying a little bit blind. I knew I wanted to have highly rated schools. I wanted to be just outside of the city, but still have easy access to everything that the city of Winston-Salem had to offer. And I was looking in both places. Lewisville just happened to be where I found my first house at. But that being said, there are some key differences in between the two towns as far as lifestyle goes. And just because you live in one doesn't mean you'll not go to the other. I live in Lewisville, but I'm in Clemmons several times a week. In the description below, you're going to have a link to the full suburbs playlist. You'll see in there also where I've done complete videos on each town, more than one of them, and also put a QR code up on screen. If you're watching on TV, you can do that as well. My contact information is also on screen as well if you need help buying or selling real estate. So first I want to talk about the overall feel and vibe of kind of the areas, because that's one of the biggest differences. Lewisville has kind of that small town feel, like it or not. It does kind of have that small town feel and small town charm. They've resisted, a lot of roadway signs or restaurants with drive-throughs in there. New developments have to have sidewalks in them, and that's kind of how it gives you an idea of how they think about development in the future. They go a little bit more slower and a little bit more deliberate than kind of what Clemmons did. And downtown Lewisville, okay, not really a downtown, but we kind of call downtown. There you have Shallowford Square, which is a beautiful outdoor amphitheater where they do family movie nights, food truck events, all different kinds of things throughout the year. You have a really nice library down there as well. A nice little row of shopping, antique shops, a local coffee shop, and things like that. Now Clemmons, on the other hand, feels more like a fully developed suburb. If you want to have convenience and a lot of things right outside your door, Clemmons might be a little bit better choice for that. Clemmons has a lot more shopping and restaurants and things right in town. Clemmons also has probably the best YMCA that I've been to in the entire area, the Jerry Long YMCA. But the trade-off for that kind of feel of just having everything at your fingertips is a little bit more traffic. Now again, this is triad traffic. This is not, big city traffic, but there are some spots in Clemmons that get a little congested, especially if you're getting on and off the highway at, rush hour times or picking up the kids from school. And while Tanglewood Park is great in Clemmons, if you do the Christmas lights out there, just be prepared for some traffic there as well. But again, it's all kind of relative. So overall, Lewisville is kind of that small, friendly town, smaller, about half the size of Clemmons at about 16,000 people. And Clemmons is a little bit more traditional suburb. A lot of stuff right at your fingertips, very convenient, easy access to highways and stuff like that. Now let's talk about the schools. And this is important to talk about right now because this is in a little bit of flux. But the schools in Clemmons and Lewisville are typically one of the big draws. They have some of the higher rated schools in the area here. Now for my kids, when we moved here personally, my kids were in 6th and 8th grade. They started at Meadowlark Middle School. My youngest son, by the time he went to 8th grade, they had opened up a new school, Lewisville Middle. He did his 8th grade year there. I have nothing but good things to say about both of those schools. They both went to Reagan High School as well, and that was a good experience for them too. Now Clemmons being a little bit bigger, there are a few more schools there, but they're all pretty much highly rated, and the high school for Clemmons is West Forsyth. So when I talk to people that are moving out here, they tend to want to compare the two high schools most of the time. Reagan's a little bit bigger, a little bit newer. In Clemmons, you have West Forsyth High that is a little bit more of a spread out campus with different buildings for different classes and things like that. But again, both highly rated. I have plenty of clients that go to the Clemmons schools and they're very happy with them as well. The important thing to know in this is Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools is talking about doing some redistricting for these schools. Now this will mostly affect the far southern part of Clemmons, where they may switch around some of those zones. I'll leave a link in the description below where you can look at a school locator and also the proposed redistricting map. But this is a couple years down the road when they're talking about implementing this, but it is something to keep in mind. And also, just because you live in Lewisville is kind of known for the Reagan School District. Not all of Lewisville is in Reagan School District. Most of it is, all of it's not. So again, check that school locator if that's really important to you. So next, let's compare the location and commute of Lewisville and Clemmons. They both border pretty much Winston-Salem. So both of them are going to be pretty simple to get into Winston-Salem. Now in Lewisville, the town itself is a little bit smaller. It's probably easiest to get on 421 to get straight shot into downtown Winston-Salem or Costco, Trader Joe's and things like that. And I'll put up a little map here. A lot of the new construction in Lewisville is going a little bit further west. So if you're looking at that, plan on that, maybe increasing your commute by, 5 or 6 minutes versus if you're living right in the center of town. And Clemmons geographically is bigger, but it's also longer. So think of Lewisville kind of runs east and west, the size of the town. Again, smaller than Clemmons, but Clemmons runs a little bit more north and south. And I'll put up a map where a lot of the new construction is going on in Clemmons right now. So if you're looking at new construction, you can kind of see where a lot of that is. A lot of that is more towards the southern end of Clemmons. You have 2 ways to get onto the highway to get back, like if you want to get into Winston-Salem or if you want to head west to the mountains as well. You can do 421, just like Lewisville has, if you're more towards the northern part. If you're in the southern part, you get on I-40 and you go east or west as well. Really simple. The I-40 interchange in Clemmons is kind of right down where a lot of the shopping and restaurants and stuff is. So that's why I'm saying that can get a little bit crowded at certain times of day. But that was another reason why I was looking at both of those towns, is they're both really simple to get into, either downtown Winston-Salem or if you want to get to, Costco and things like that. Really simple, easy highway access for both towns. Just know that, the commutes in Clemmons can be a little bit longer. And remember, when I'm saying a little bit longer, you have to think of, Winston-Salem area longer, 2, 3, 4 minutes longer, not, stuck in traffic like I was in Chicago. When comparing things to do in each town, Lewisville has a decent amount of things to do, not a ton. You have a decent amount though. If you like wineries, you have Metaloni Cellars. If you like breweries, you have Incendiary Brewing. If you like whiskey, you got Old Nick Williams Distillery is there. And all of those places are family friendly. If you want to bring the kids, I think you can bring pets to most of them as well. But those are some of the main things. And then in Lewisville also, you have Shallowford Square that we talked about earlier. They do a ton of community events there. It's a lot of fun. Also in Lewisville, you have Mary Alice Warren Park and Jack Warren Park right next to each other. Jack Warren Park is a really nice park. They have playground, walking trails. Mary Alice Park and Community Center is right next to it. They have a disc golf course, a really big new community center that they just built. Right across the street from those two is another park with pickleball courts, tennis courts, basketball courts, picnic shelters, all kinds of stuff. So some really nice parks right in the center of Lewisville. And I just talked to a client that moved to Lewisville from the Boston area. She told me it was the best move she ever made. She loves her neighbors, loves her neighborhood. Everybody's friendly. She really enjoys the community feel of it, but I've also been spending a lot of time at Rinaldo Village in Winston-Salem, which is just, 15 minutes away. Now, in Clemmons has, again, a bigger suburb, a lot more things to do relative to Lewisville. One of the probably biggest well-known ones is Tanglewood Park. This park is huge. They have just a little bit of everything there and a little bit of everything in Clemmons, whether it's golf, walking trails, hikes, basketball, tennis, horse riding, pools, all kinds of stuff. There are also quite a few parks in Clemmons as well, so depending what part of town that you live in, there's probably going to be a park within a reasonable distance to you as well. But then just the shopping and restaurant scene is way more developed in Clemmons than it is Lewisville. So again, it's one of those things, if you prefer convenience, you might prefer Clemmons because you just have so many things right outside your door. Yoga studios, restaurants, parks, everything really close by. And I'm happy to say that the restaurant scene in Clemmons has really picked up steam over the last couple of years. There are some actually good restaurants right in Clemmons that make it simple if you just want one of those quick meals. You don't want to go all the way into downtown Winston-Salem, 15 or 20 minutes away. Right in Clemmons, there are some really solid restaurants as well. Another client that recently moved to Clemmons in newer neighborhood down there, not brand new construction, but built in around the 2015s, loves it, loves their neighbors. They have amenities right in their neighborhood that they really enjoy. Neighbors are friendly, and they commented that everything is just within 5 minutes that I need. It's great. Speaking of neighbors and housing, let's talk a little bit about the housing in each area next. Lewisville on average has a little bit higher price point. There are a few more upscale homes. What I consider the luxury price point for this area, from like 700 up to, $1.5 million plus. In Lewisville, there are some really nice luxury neighborhoods here, Lake Silasara, Tuscany, Mara, and things like that. But there are also some more affordable areas as well. In the neighborhood called Sequoia, for instance, you have a lot of homes right in the 300s, mid 300s range. And again, remember where Clemmons prioritizes growth and development there, Lewisville has kind of purposely scaled back on that, and that includes the new construction and housing in there as well. Just for an example, closed sales in the last 12 months in Lewisville, there have only been a little bit over 200, where Clemmons has many more than that. So it's just keep the size of the town in mind as well. But in Clemmons, you have a little bit wider range of housing in general, everything from a lot more townhouses, single family homes, new construction. The price point is generally a little bit lower. And if you're in the southern part of Clemmons, more towards, like Davidson County, you're going to have Davidson County taxes versus Forsyth County taxes. So that will be less than Lewisville or the northern part of Clemmons as far as like property taxes go. But Clemmons has some really popular neighborhoods as well. You know, Waterford is in there, and there are other just a little bit more developed neighborhoods in Clemmons versus Lewisville, and there's just a greater variety of them. So again, when we're talking about which is right for you, that's a decision for you to make. I'm happy I ended up in Lewisville. I have come to appreciate that little small town feel that makes just kind of the living a little bit slower paced. I was looking to get away from, you know, the quicker pace in Chicagoland, but I am in Clemmons really often, almost every day it seems like, and not just for work. You know, I'm going there for shopping, restaurants, and things like that. So if you prefer convenience and having more things ready at your fingertips, Clemmons might be a little bit of a better choice because there's just such a big variety of things in town there. Remember, the reality is they're just a couple minutes apart. You can get to either one pretty simply. So it's actually, while you know you can't pick your neighbors, you can pick your neighborhood. It's going to come down to your neighborhood and lifestyle choice as far as what you want in your surrounding area. I've sold plenty of houses in both areas, and if you need help buying or selling real estate in Lewisville, Clemmons, or anywhere in the area, I'd love to be a resource for you. You can reach out to me directly at jeff@govalentino.com. Thanks.